Hey, Geekscapists, welcome to our brand new Geekscape podcast. I'm Jonathan London, your host. If this is your first Geekscape, strap yourselves in for some pop culture talk, movies, video games, comic books, TV. This is a welcome return to our streaming. If you guys are listening to this on the podcast feed, thank you. You're our bread and butter. We love you. You're our longest listeners, and that makes me feel so good. Who did I get a contact with? Somebody DM me. This is just random Geekscapists. This is a long time supporter, and there's like, I see the hearts on like Instagram every now and then. I see like a comment come in on the DMs. Let me see if I can find this individual and call them out. Yeah, here we go. This is I'm just calling you out here on Instagram. In Geekscape, we're going to talk movies, video games, comics, pop culture, all that stuff, as I promised. If you're a brand new Geekscapist, you're like, what's this guy doing? What's he doing? But this guy in my DMs who follows me on Instagram under Dick_Danger. He's Dick Danger Valdez on Instagram. Says he's been following me since the Geektrome days. That would be possibly as far back as 2005. So I've been podcasting since 2005. Geekscape has been in existence since 2006, and we're still growing strong. If you are listening on the podcast feed, you're not seeing my face. That would be YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, etc. Oh, I think LinkedIn is on there. Good luck in the job market. And if you're just listening to me on the podcast feed, like Mr. Dick Danger Valdez, maybe you've been listening since 2005 or 2006. This is Geekscape. I like to bring a guest on, talk storytelling with them. I also like going to cons and going and interviewing people at their booths and talking to them about what they're selling, what they're vending. Maybe they're actors from TV, maybe they're movie people, maybe they're comic book creators. And I got to tell you, it does not get much better or dynamic than the last episode. It's an audio only episode. So if you're watching this, you gotta subscribe to the podcast feed, because I'll go to these cons and I'll grab the microphone. I'll go up and interview people at their booths, and I don't always know them. And I want to be spontaneous and fun and have some of that fun energy. And that really was a mistake, as you would have heard on last episode, because I had to have Heidi. Not that I don't love having my wife co-host with me, but we went to Pasadena Comic-Con, and I did not experience a lot of that con. Heidi did. Our daughter Ophelia did, because they didn't take that first interview with Bad Boy Barnes. This is Sean Kanan from Karate Kid 3, Bad Boy Mike Barnes. He's also in Cobra Kai. He didn't challenge Heidi and Ophelia to drink a bottle of hot sauce. And if you guys go on my Instagram at geekscape.net or Sean's Instagram, this thing has it has like thousands of views or whatever. And Sean sells these hot sauces. It's Cobra Venom hot sauce at his Bad Boy Barnes website. He's got 3 hot sauces. He gave me the hottest hot sauce, and he says, drink this and I'll give you a t-shirt. If you drink this, I'll give you a t-shirt. I was like, yeah, whatever. Let's do it. It'd be funny. It'd be a funny stunt. And Heidi's like, where are you? What are you doing? And I texted her. I said, I'm about to drink some hot sauce with the guy from Karate Kid 3. And she thought it was like this little thing, a little hot sauce bottle, right? Like you get it like for free in like a gift bag or something. No, this is a legit hot sauce bottle. Watch that on the Instagram. And I drank it in a minute. And other people were coming up and trying to do the challenge, and they were putting water in it, and they were drinking with water, or they were taking their time, or they're not doing it. They're pinching their nose. I saw somebody pinch their nose. I just downed the thing. I drank it in a minute. I drank it like it was freaking soda or milk or water. I just drank it. And I was like, it's bad. And he told me that they had the Carolina Reapers and this and that. Is bad. But, oh my God, about 45 minutes later, I start feeling the heartburn. I start feeling like everything's slowed down. I'm in the middle of an interview with the voice of Roger Rabbit. That's also on the episode. And so if you notice that some of the interviews on that last episode, and there's some great ones, were a little curtailed, it's because I had to get out of there quick. And man, did I spend a lot of that. I mean, between every episode, you just listen to the episode. Listen to the Pasadena Comic-Con special 2025, because you hear an interview, and then you hear what happened between the interviews. and it gets pretty harrowing. As I honestly am like, am I going to go to the emergency room? What do I do? Because I then Google this thing, this cobra venom, and I'm not a big viewer of like Hot Ones and that stuff about the hot sauce and that, but I know about the Scoville ranking. It goes to like 11.5. This cobra venom is an 11 out of 11.5. This is 100,000 Scoville is what I heard. All right, that's what we found. That's what the chat GBT said, and that's what the thing is. And I just downed it in a minute, and Sean had texted and was like, dude, are you all right? Are you alive? Are you okay? Like, is everything all good? Like, that was insane. And yeah, I'm not 20 anymore, man. Why am I doing that? I don't think I did that stuff when I was 20, but it's in the episode, the aftermath of that. And I hope you enjoy that. It's fun. In retrospect, should I do that stuff in the future? We'll be smarter at San Diego Comic-Con. We'll all be at San Diego Comic-Con. You'll probably get a couple of audio episodes out of San Diego Comic-Con because the whole team's there for all 5-6 days. That's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have signings in the booth. We'll have friends come and hang out. We'll interview people on the floor. But no, I will tell you this, though. I did take the challenge. And here, if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, look at that. I got that Cobra Venom t-shirt. That's what I got for doing the challenge. Was it worth it? No, I thought I was going to die. I puked on the steps of the Pasadena Convention Center. No, it was not worth the t-shirt. But my brother thought it was funny. Zach from $2 Late Fee said I brought honor to their dojo. That stuff's there. So you never know what you're going to get with an episode of Geekscape. So please subscribe and hang out and enjoy it. And maybe you'll be like Dick Danger Valdez, and you'll be talking to me again in like 15 years and be like, dude, I've been listening to you this whole time. And don't try and kill yourself again. I described it as, somebody goes, why would you do that? And I said, it's like when, guys know Doomsday in the Superman comics, he's like a baby. I think this is right. My guest, Ernie Altbacker, will be able to tell me. He's written all the DC animated movies. He knows the DC universe very well. I think Doomsday was like a baby and survived something harrowing on that planet or something horrific, and then it made him stronger. Like his skin got stronger, and Doomsday's got those like rock things coming out of his skin. He's killed Superman, and every time Superman, like every time I think Doomsday died or didn't die, like he got stronger and stronger and stronger until he became the thing that could kill Superman. This is a really dumb version of that. Me drinking 100,000 Scoville hot sauce for your amusement is me doing a really stupid version of the Doomsday origin story where I'm like, yeah, let me do something that brings me right up to death. Maybe get the job done, maybe doesn't, but I come back stronger. Nope. No, it does not come back stronger. It just comes back showing everybody that you're dumber and impulsive. And yeah, maybe I should take that impulsivity and start the Geekscape podcast. All right, let's go. We'll come back with Ernie. Hang tight. It's supposed to play. Here it is. All right, Geekscapists, we are back. It's time to start the show. And I'm glad we cut to the credits because as I was describing that hot sauce challenge, my throat started being like, no, I started having flashbacks, and it allowed me to drink some water. Yeah, that was not good. Chris Mancini, one of our indie comic creators, who's on the episode 2 episodes ago from Comic-Con Revolution, he saw me at this fan base press potluck this weekend and was like, you're an idiot. What are you doing? You gave teenage Jonathan the wheel on that one. No, I think teenage Jonathan's smarter. I think this is I think I'm losing it. All right, to help me keep things together, I've got my friend Ernie Altbacker. As I told you, he's written it all. If you guys watch those DC animated movies, he probably wrote the thing. All right, like he's great. He's incredibly prolific. Let me just read some of the DC animated titles that he has done. We're talking Green Lantern, the animated series, if you watch that. Mucha Lucha, Nico and the Sword of Light. Those are some of the original TV shows he's worked on, the animated TV shows. But the animated features you're totally going to be familiar with. Batman Hush, Injustice, Justice League Dark, Apokolips War. Like, those are ones that you've probably watched if you're a DC animated fan. And let's face it, for like a long time, if you're a DC fan, that DC animated stuff is what ruled the coop. It was like you love the Berlanti verse, but you maybe weren't satisfied with the big screen stuff. People were like, why couldn't it just be like the animated stuff? These animated movies, DC, the best stuff they do is the animated movies. Well, let's bring him on here. It's Ernie Altbacker, and he is responsible for those animated movies. I realized what I did when I accidentally didn't start the show. I took the background off. There's the background. I brought it back. I clicked the wrong thing, Ernie. When you don't do the live stream in a while, it starts to happen. You start to lose it. How are you, man? Good meeting you this weekend. I met Ernie at the same potluck that Chris Mancini called me an idiot at.
Yes, the potluck. It was awesome. The fan base press.
I love them. How do you know Barbara and Bryant from Fanbase Press?
You know, I think I did an interview for Barbara like a long time ago, maybe back to Justice League Dark. That was like 2016 or something like that. And then anyway, I was at this comics creators connection, right? And she was one of the moderators on the thing.
Is that like the speed dating thing they do at like WonderCon?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know what that was. I thought a bunch of people were just going to get in a room and like mingle. And I walked in and somebody goes, "Hi, Jonathan." I didn't sign up for it. I have no idea why they said, "Hi, Jonathan." I never met this person before my entire life. I wasn't wearing a name tag or nothing. But I walked into WonderCon and I was like, "Oh, let me check out the creator connection thing. See if some of my friends are there. Let me go see." And I walk in, they're like, "Hi, Jonathan. You're at table number 3." And I go, "What?" So I'm like sitting at table number 3, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening right now, but
exactly. So you were like one of the moderators then, right? Or no?
I don't think so. I think I was an interloper.
You had a lot of experience though. Well, so Barbara was there, and she was like one of the people that knew me. Like I said, Ernie Altbacker, and she was like, "Yay!" And I'm like, "Who is this? I don't understand." And then you know what? She might have done like a she did a review of a self-published science fiction novel that I did, and I was trying to get some reviews from. Maybe they had done an interview on one of these movies, and I was like, "Hey, could you interview could you review this?" And they did, and so I got to know her again, and she was kind of one of them that was like, "You really should do a comic. You get off your ass. I mean, yes, the stuff that you're doing for animation is great, but do you have any like ideas that they just won't let you do?" And I'm like, I got a hard drive full of those.
Yeah, we all have a drawer full of those things, right? Yeah.
I used to have a drawer full, but
and you went digital.
Yeah, then we went digital. Now the drawer full is in the corner with the butter churn and the top hat. So yeah, that's she helped me out on this Kickstarter that I'm doing now by giving me an interview to my artist Josh White, myself, and I'm going to be on her podcast like the last day. So I figured the last day, the day before the last day of my raise is a Sunday. I'm going to be one of the guests, I guess. So it'll either be coming in with like, woo, or total humiliation.
No, you're going to do great, man.
Possibly, we really need tomorrow to go well. Come on, folks. Like one of those.
Geekscape, as of the recording of this, if you're not watching this live or you're listening to this on the audio feed, like Ernie's been live on this Area 51 Studios comic book that he's got. And yes, if you know Ernie in any way, you know him from probably his animated TV work, his animated movie work. You probably know him as one of the credit names in some of those really cool DC adaptations. But at a certain point, you have to tell your own stories. You got to empty that drawer. You got to empty that hard drive of some of the stories you really love that just didn't get their window, and you got to make that window for them. So Ernie's on here with this Kickstarter for Area 51 Studios. It's a first issue of a comic book series based on a novella. We're going to talk about the novella and where that came from. It's kind of a fun idea, guys. It's like Area 51 is not a crash site of an alien, spacecraft. It's actually a studio backlot. So if you guys are fans of shows like The Studio and stuff like that, or funny, behind the scenes Hollywood type stuff, imagine a Hollywood backlot in the Nevada desert run by aliens making their projects, and it's really funny. It's got a lot of great Hollywood humor. And then
making alien or galactic reality TV.
Galactic reality TV. So there's multiple alien races. They're all stuck together. What I like about the energy of the pages that I read, Ernie, are that like you just have the dialogue. You know the Hollywood dialogue. You know how people talk, but then you've got overlapping dialogue that kind of reminds you of like Robert Altman type stuff, where people are just talking naturally, but they're also aliens. So sometimes they're talking like aliens. And then you got these ridiculous scenarios going on based on things like they're made up of gases, or maybe they multiply faster, or they're aliens. They do alien stuff. And I think it's fun. It's a really fun idea, and it's a fun story. And we want to get this thing going so you can get to issue 2 and keep telling the thing.
Well, right now we envision it as, and I can't believe it, it's been like Mordor out there the entire freaking day, and now the sun blows through. Do you want me to shut the blinds? Or
you're good, brother. No, okay. You're good.
So this first thing is going to be like a 4-issue story that's going to be collected into about 110 page comic with another 20 pages of extras. So that's what the goal is. So this is issue 1. We're hoping to do issue 2 in September, but hey, we got to get past issue 1 first. And it's it sets up the world. It sets up what he has to do. And it's about this producer, Zephyr Boone, who is kind of on his career now is just on the downslope of being done. But he used to be a big deal, and he wants that. He wants to get back to that. So what he was able to do here is Area 51 Studios has been around for thousands of years, and our country grew up around it. We finally had the technology to bump into it because there was a student shoot. They didn't pull their permits, and that's what Roswell was. It's their fake ship. It's their fake corpses, which are a lot better than our mannequins with ketchup on them, right?
Yeah.
To us, they're like real, but they just came out of the cloner, and they've never been alive or anything. Yeah. And people were coming. They were like, "We don't have permits. Let's get out of here. Let's bogue. We're running away." So at that point, they basically had to say, hey, you can either let us continue using this as a cheap location for our things, or we're going to chop up the planet and use it to fill sandbags at other bigger productions. so Truman rightly said, you know what? Secret base. Nobody will get near you. You do whatever you want.
And so, Ernie, let's talk about you real quick, because honestly, Geekscape, I met Ernie on Saturday at this potluck. It was a creator potluck run by the benevolent, amazing fan base press, Barbara and Brian. They've been on the show several times, many times, and they're great friends. And they have these potlucks with all the different creators, and they get together. And Barbara was like, "All right, you got to meet Ernie." And Ernie and I had met, sort of like in a cursory fashion, because you were tabling next to Tim Sheridan at WonderCon. Tim and I have the same lawyer. We were talking comics. I gave him the copy of my comic. I wish I'd given you a copy of my comic as well. and we were
wasn't
just.
worthy, man. You didn't think I was worthy. You gave me a look.
I didn't
You're
know who
like,
you
"Man, I
were.
didn't do anything."
I knew who Tim was. I didn't know who you were. So
Yeah,
like,
I wasn't
who
tabling. I was out in front.
you were
That's
just
how you
hanging
do a
out?
good one.
Oh,
Yeah,
you were
I
yeah,
was just talking
freeloader.
to him.
No, so
Yeah, I
was
was
I.
a
So was I.
freeloader. Yeah.
So who are you? Like honestly, Geekscape is like we just met on Saturday, but like Ernie, like where'd you grow up, dude? Like what was your whole deal? Like when you were growing up, like what got you into writing?
Man, that started early. I guess comic books. And I do remember, I love the sci-fi. I like the monster shows, the war,
Where
right?
was this? Where was this? Where'd you grow up? Tell me about
Long
yourself.
Island, New York, baby.
What town though? Not that I'm a big. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know much. I know that I in grad
Ronkonkoma.
school, bro. Of all the places, Ronkonkoma. So Geekscape is when I was at Columbia, the only place that had a Southwest terminal, and y'all know I'm from Austin, Texas. So Southwest was where my dad would get a lot of Southwest tickets. So if I wanted to come home for a holiday, I was going to fly Southwest. But what you guys don't know is the only Southwest terminal that was in Baltimore for a very long time before JFK and LaGuardia got Southwest terminals or Newark was an islip, Ronkonkoma.
MacArthur.
Bro, I would spend I would fly out of Ronkonkoma, out of Islip during summer or winter holiday when I went to grad school. So I know all about Ronkonkoma. We used to call it Ronkonkoma.
Yeah, right.
I went out there for a punk concert. It is the end of the line. That's the end of the freaking line, bro. When you take the Long Island Railroad, that's the end of the line.
Oh, it says this stop is Ronkonkoma.
Ronkonkoma.
This train does not go to Spionk.
Yeah, that's it. This is Ronkonkoma. And so you saying Ronkonkoma, I mean, because there's a lot of towns on Long Island, aren't there?
No, that line. Well, wait a second. I think the Ronkonkoma line goes up to Port Jeff, and
then you can just like hop across the way to freaking
it'd be far to
Rhode Island. Can't you just like hop over to Rhode Island after a certain point? Like, can't you see Rhode Island from like a part of Long Island where it's just like, oh, right there is.
You probably can. I'm usually on the other side, where
south end,
Connecticut. Yeah, we're on the south side more than the north side.
But of all the towns, I don't know all of them. You said Ronkonkoma. I think that's hilarious. And so, what got you into comics? What got you into movies? Was it your dad? Was it like growing up and getting on the bike and being maybe a latchkey kid, or what?
Hell no, not my dad. Dad's a Hungarian immigrant who was a machinist. He'd never seen a comic book in his life, although he did take me and make me, work underage as European dads will. And then when I got my break or snuck out, there was like this old secondhand bookstore. And so I would just load up on old crap, whatever it was, just beat up comic books, beat up books, the pulp fiction, the amazing stories, stuff like that. So I would read all of that. Just like, I just really liked it. And then in 5th grade, I remember I had this teacher and he had published a couple of books. Now they were like fiction or no, they were like nonfiction, right? That's the boring one, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's a teacher, so he's probably writing research stuff. Yeah,
so it's got some stuff in there. But I thought it was so cool that you could go to the library and you could see this guy's name on books. So I tried at that point. I thought there was a weird war tale of when people. The prison was basically. They would put your brain into a robot and you would have to battle until all of your aggression was gone. So like 100 years and you just kept getting wrecked and the brain case was just like fine, and you just over and over and over. And I thought, oh, this thing needs to be longer because they just ended it like the guy got ran over by a super big tank and then he was done. That's one
that you wrote or you read.
No, that's one that I read
as a pulp or a comic.
No, that was a weird war tale story, right? And so I was like, man, I think this should be way longer. This can be like a book on its own. So I tried.
It's like a Robert Heinlein story, it feels like.
I tried to write a book, and I accidentally, when I was in 5th grade, so I'm like 10 years old, I 2-finger typed out 100 pages, single spaced, and poor Mr. Scott actually read it and gave me an attaboy, you know.
Dude's a
And
saint.
yeah, the guy is a freaking saint. And so I was like, oh my God, you know, like, yeah, this is something that I want to do. And so always while I was doing stuff, I would always go back to maybe I can be a writer one day, you know. I'm gonna close this real quick.
Go ahead and close
Because
Ernie, that is insane. In 5th grade, you wrote a 100-page novel. Do you still have you? When's the last time you saw that thing?
I don't know. I think I don't. I lost it somewhere in a move or whatever. But the thing is, so manuscript format, as you know, is like one line every. You know, if there's a gap between it, so really it would have been like a 200-page for a kid. Like,
do you think it was any good?
Right? No, it was just stuff over and over, and I did the battles a long way and stuff. But it was like I can do it. So even when it kind of went away from me in college, I didn't seem to get a person who was like a creative writer. I got more like grammar Nazis, and that kind of beat it out of me for a while.
Where was that? Where was that?
I'm sorry, not in college. In grammar and grade school. This is Long Island. Yeah, St. Anthony's High School when it was all guys, and then I don't know where I went to grammar school, Cherokee, something like that.
When you're getting these books at the used bookstore, you're grabbing these novellas, you're grabbing these pulps, you're grabbing the comics. What are some of their favorites that are popping out beyond this weird, amazing war tales? What are some of the comics that you're gravitating to? Who are the characters? What are the stories that you remember? And you're just like, whoa, now I'm in it to win it. This is a lifelong passion as a fan, at least. And then maybe I'm not going to always be writing as you're going through the trials and tribulations of some grammar Nazi in school. But what are the things that you still enjoyed? What were some of the characters or some of the creators that you were like, whoa, this person is.
I remember the. I mean, so in the 70s when I was really young, I think my favorite was the Fantastic Four. And I remember that there was this particular Hulk story that was basically a ripoff of the Defiant Ones. It was like the Hulk and Juggernaut were clamped together, and the Defiant Ones basically is like Sidney Poitier and Tony Curtis as prisoners, you know, black and white one.
And they're handcuffed together.
Yeah. But I was like, oh my God, this is really cool. I didn't know about the Defiant One, so I thought it was just like an original comic book story. I'm like, oh my God, this is great. Oh, these guys are brilliant. And then when I was in the 80s, more like in the, 14, 12 range, it was John Byrne X-Men was definitely my number one. Frank Miller was doing a lot of writing. He did Thor, a big run on Thor.
Frank Miller did?
Yeah.
I thought that was Bernie. I thought that was Bernie Wright and those guys. I don't remember.
With Beta Ray Bill? That wasn't Miller?
No, that was Beta Ray Bill was Ray Bill was oh my God, why is this? That was alongside. That was definitely
was it Simonson?
It was Walt Simonson. But I see why you say Frank Miller, because it's parallel to the stuff that he was doing in Daredevil at the time.
Right.
Because he got Daredevil when he was like 18 or 20 and Shooter
Miller
was
Daredevil
like, go for it.
Really good. I mean, obviously then in college, The Dark Knight comes out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was just like huge.
But Walt Simonson took a book that was like post Kirby, that book was kind of just languishing. Thor was, and Walt Simonson takes it and just goes for it. Walt Simonson was somebody who came in Kirby's shadow because he was doing Conan, and they were in Marvel's whole edict, especially in those mid 70s, was like draw like Kirby, and or draw like Romita Senior. draw the Marvel style, and it was always Kirby. And he's somebody who was taking the Kirby style and getting a little looser with it, and then when he finally gets with Thor, or really on Conan, he's like cooking with crazy gas. Walt Simonson and Bernie Wrightson, those guys are just like starting to make their own style. And Simonson gets Thor, and he rejects it with a brand new energy. And what you're reading on those Fantastic Fours is probably post Kirby as well.
No, the Fantastic Four was more in the mid 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, it didn't really.
By that time, he's working on DC. He's making
in 80s.
He's doing,
I didn't think they had a great run. I remember, and then Giffen, of course, was doing some great Green Lantern stuff, and then he did the Omega Men, which I think that could be reboot. I mean, that's criminally underused. It's a really group.
So the John Byrne stuff, and then when he goes to Fantastic Four, when Jim Shooter kind of and Chris Claremont kind of like, oh, okay, like this has been fun working with you, but like let's get you your own book.
The Claremont stuff and the New Mutants was like all those covers. They were really neat.
They're like, beautiful. Do you know about this John Byrne? I'm not going to call it fan fiction because I'm not going to do that to John Byrne. I'm not going to say call it alternate universe because he claims that it's the way his X-Men should have done. Do you know about this Neverwin project that he's been doing? No. John Byrne in 2000.
I've heard it. I haven't seen it.
2013 or 2008, not 2013, like 2018, 19, 20, somewhere in there. He started just redrawing X-Men from the point that he departed the book. Post. This is X-Men post Dark Phoenix, death of Jean Grey, or whatever the whole thing is with the Shi'ar Empire. Jim Shooter was like, and Chris Claremont were like, we know how we want the X-Men to go. They weren't incorrect because people loved that X-Men in the 80s. It's the X-Men. And I think Byrne was like, okay, you guys are having me kick rocks. Okay, I'm going to go over here. Thank you for giving me Fantastic Four. His Fantastic Four run is awesome. People love Byrne's Fantastic Four run. It's second only to Jack Kirby and Stan. Some people put it up there with it. I think he always had that itch. He goes and does John Byrne's Next Men in the 90s. He's still kind of doing his John Byrne thing. Obviously, he did the Superman stuff with the mullet Superman and all the post-crisis Superman. And then you start hearing these things that like he's putting up pages on his like his own website, on his like user group and in his chat group. And he has gone and done 33, 34 full issues of the X-Men starting when he left the book. And he straight up penciled them, wrote them, penciled them, did everything but ink them and color them. And when Marvel came to him and said, hey, and it's better than, I'll tell you, no offense to X-Men, no offense to Marvel. It's fresher and it feels more X-Men than anything other than the Hickman Krakoa stuff. Like, it's great. You got to read it. It's great. And Marvel came to him and said, "Do you want us to eat?"
I must have just forgotten about it.
It's here. I keep a tab, dude. I keep a tab open on my browser, and whenever I have some free time, I'm like, I'm gonna go read another page. I'm gonna go read another issue of that Neverwin, and it's so good. When Marvel came to him and said, "Hey, John, we want to publish this as an Elseworlds or like an alternate X-Men story, its own pocket thing," he said, but that's not an alternate history of the X-Men. It's the history of the X-Men as far as I'm concerned. That's how it's supposed to go as far as I'm concerned.
Well, Ernie,
I think you'll love it.
That's parts. I will love it, but that part's unfortunate because, there's millions of people that have read this other one. And,
and
the
other one's great.
You can't say that.
He does his own Wolverine origin, but without Claremont, you don't get Days of Future Past. You clearly don't get the Infernos. You don't get all that stuff. You don't get the Mark Silvestri stuff. You don't get any of that. Come on, I love it. Then you don't get the Jim Lee stuff, and he hands it over to Jim Lee.
Past is, I don't know. That might be my all-time.
I can't believe they do it in 2 issues. When you see people trying to do their own new epics or the crossovers, I don't know how much of that is the editors trying to squeeze out more issues or this and that, but the discipline and the writing and skill that it takes to do a Days in the Future Past in 2 issues and tell that much story that well in 2 issues. And now you've got these things, and these storylines take 6, 7, 8, 9 issues, or they have crossovers with another book.
Routinely 12. Come on.
And it's like, are you guys just trying to sell comics? Who's spreading this thing out so thin? You know,
I mean, Hush, Long Halloween, those are 12s. I mean, there is something to be said for at the end of it, you get a big ass trade that you can get.
It's cool. Yeah, and then you can have Ernie write the animated.
Oh, I'm here. I'm waiting. Yeah, that would be great.
So you're growing up. You're discovering the pulp. Did you have friends who you were like trading comics with? You were like, hey, are you into this stuff too? Did you have people who encouraged that kind of thing? Because with me, yeah, there are always those fans who like doodle comics together, and you'd be like, oh, let's start a comic together, and it doesn't really go anywhere. But you were enthused about comics.
Oh, I knew I couldn't draw immediately. I tried when I was 6.
Uh-huh.
Again, Hungarian immigrant. I tell you. I'm like, look at my cartoon, Dad. It's like, what's that? Like, that's a horse. That doesn't look like a horse at all. This is terrible.
Did your dad did he just not encourage this whole creative side of you? And he's like, you're
No, that was just him. It's like absolute truth. Even
what about your mom?
6-year-old. No, she was the best. She'd be like, oh yes, that's great. Whatever. And I'm like, but I would always know. I don't know. I'm like, that's telling me the straight truth. So it's like I couldn't trust Mom. Like, do you think this is okay? And she'd be like, everything was great, everything was the best, right? Then I'd go to Dad and he'd be like, that's passable, you could show that in public, and I'd be like, okay.
You're bringing disgrace to this family. Did he have an accent?
Then you'd get that, you'd be like, no, you got to try again.
Well, he's a craftsman, he's a tradesman. If he does something wrong, suddenly
you got to be exact, or else it blows up in your face.
Exactly. And then what point do you start doing this as a profession? At what point do you start getting gigs? And I know it takes forever, and I know it's sporadic sometimes, but at what point did you? What was that first story you wrote where you're like, this is my sample?
You are going to be. I think you will know this movie, and so I get out of college, and I'm not thinking about writing. Really, it is the go-go 80s. So I go be a stockbroker, and I actually was in basically at one level below, if you can imagine, the Wolf of Wall Street company. Okay,
wow.
One level below. They made a movie about it. It's called Boiler Room with Vin Diesel and Giovanni Ribisi.
Ben Affleck has a cameo in it. That was your company?
That was my specific company. In the movie, they sell MedTech and they're JT Marlin. I worked for JT Moran and we sold MedMobile.
They didn't veer too far. They're really skirting that cease and desist.
Everything that was in that movie, it starts out with this insane trip from Atlantic City that everybody was loaded out of their minds at. It's all true. That thing is all true because it was made by someone who I didn't know who was there also. It was like it was a boiler room. There's 300 people smiling and dialing, and 2 phones at once. You would dial, and whichever picked up, just hang up the other one, start pitching. It was awful.
And how's that whole thing? It's a scam.
No, they make a market. You're allowed to make a market. This is getting into the weeds, but
let's do it.
To make a market in a stock where you own a lot of it. The scam is if you own enough of it, if you own 70% of the shares, you can control the float, which means you can say how much it is worth because there's not enough to move it on the pink sheets. So we're not in the OTC, we're on the pink sheets. Wolf of Wall Street was on the OTC. Above that is the NYSE. Okay. I was only there for about 7 or 8 months before I figured out it was a scam. I wouldn't sell any of the crap stocks. Once I figured out, I'm like, oh, they're making a market in it. This is illegal. I would
Yeah,
sell.
so the whole thing is you buy 70% of a pink sheet stock, and then you can just manipulate it and say, okay, like we're gonna eke this thing out or pull this thing in.
You're gonna have all your brokers go full recommend on this thing, you know, and the I don't know, it's terrible.
You're gonna pump it.
So the commission on a big board New York Stock Exchange stock is 2%, 1.5%, 1%. Half of that goes to the brokerage, half of that goes to the broker. The commission on OTC stocks might be 5 to 10. The commission on pink sheet stocks could be 20%. So if you invested $10,000 in a pink sheet stock, immediately it went down to $8,000 because that $2,000 was taken. Brokerage takes $1,000. Broker takes $1,000. Now, if you wanted to sell it, you're down $2,000 right from the start.
So you better pump it.
Eke it in and out like that. So they all went to prison. I mean, the FBI raided the thing 2 months after I was there, and I had to go through an interview, like an hour-and-a-half interview with the FBI. I didn't even know, because I was like, I didn't do anything wrong. I just fucking did the interview, no representation, anything. And the guy's like, man, you were kind of stupid, but all of your clients love you.
That's hilarious. You're a real people person.
Yeah. Well, okay, check this out. So we're talking about it's the late 80s. Interest rates, boy, I mean, I don't think anybody who's grown up now, they're like, oh, 1%, that might be great, 2%. At that point, you could get a thing that was triple tax exempt, local, state, and federal, called Nuveen, and they were paying 15% a year. 15%. If you put in $100,000, you would get $15,000, and it was guaranteed, and then all of the profit was exempt from taxes.
From taxes, yeah. Anywhere.
Right? So they actually had to buy all that back when the interest rates went down because they were paying so much on the investment. I got my people into that. When I left, my boss churned them all down to nothing for commissions. So he went to jail, and I was a terrible stockbroker because I was only making those 2% and 4%, and I didn't really make enough. And I didn't want to be there. So I got out. I'm in my dad's machine shop. Now I'm really screwed because I'd worked every summer in the machine shop, and I hated the machine shop. No kid wants to do what their father does, even if it sometimes is great.
Cool.
You know,
yeah.
I guess if your dad's like major leaguer, you'll want that. But this was not that. This is like cleaning, people. All the machinists that I saw working there 20, 30 years, they called one guy 8.5, not because of the movie, because he had 8.5 fingers.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, you're seeing these people whittled to nothing.
And they all talk with their hands, and you got stubs in your face, and they're smoking.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man. And then I mean, there's stuff moving at 10,000 revolutions, per minute. Right? That you're like, cutting or whatever. And he had these thin piece of crap, like goggles, the plastic, the soft plastic kind you might have in a lab. And I'm like, hey, I found these like much better ones that were for like, in case something detonates in your face. Everybody's like, fucking pussy. Yeah, you soft.
Whoa. Yeah, they want a shard in their eyeball.
This thing would go right through your head like a freaking bullet.
So my God.
I got to get out of here. So at that point, I'm like, I really love movies. I thought about Great American Novel for 1 second. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to write a screenplay. And I wrote the screenplay, and it was before film school became a big thing. So I think there were 300 applicants for 30 screenwriting spots in the American Film Institute. And I got one of those. And then the next year, there were 2,000 applicants for 30 spots. And the next year, there were 4,000 applicants for 30 spots. So I was right time, right place that I got in. I did miss out on USC, UCLA. Didn't want to go to NYU because I wanted to just be someplace else away from Long Island, so I saw over here like Newport Beach, kids running with their surfboards out to like in the middle of school. I'm like, here would be good.
Yeah.
So yeah, then after that, went through the film school, which was a revelation. See all these like different foreign films that I'd never seen before.
What were the big ones? What was the ones that like really stuck with you? And you're like, whoa, you can do that with a movie?
I mean, like Fellini's 8.5 actually, and I was going like, yeah, I know this guy 8.5. Tells it that killed. That story killed, and like you
doesn't have as many women in it.
It's like because that was not almost everybody had gone to film school undergrad.
Sure,
nobody was like, I was a machinist.
Mm-hmm.
like I was going to have to be a machinist. Now I'm going to try this for a while, and luckily I kind of had an ear for it, and so I met all these really cool people. And one of the guys, Jim Krieg, he actually was the overseer of some of these movies. He's written a lot of them, including Flashpoint, which is a great animated feature. That's
people love it.
Yeah. And most recently, all 3 films of Crisis. He did those 2. But I wrote his like whatever his first piece and one of his cycle projects. We had like this little 24-hour film fest thing to start off the year. Then we would divide into groups. So I just got randomly put with him. We got along, and so he got this job at the Amazing Spider-Man, the animated series in the 90s. It was the #1 rated animated show, and he was like, Ernie, they need people. Like no one wanted animation at that point. No one wanted to make it a career. Heck, I didn't want it. I was going for, live action feature spec sale at that point, which was still a thing. But I knew comics. I knew a lot more than most people. I went in there, I pitched, and the guy's like, "Okay, you're on. You're now on staff."
That's crazy.
I was on staff for the last year. It's still one of the best jobs. All he wanted us to come in 2 times per week. We'd talk out a story, and then we were basically John Semper's hands. He was the showrunner of that, and we would just give him drafts back, or if another writer did a draft and he's like, you know what, I want more humor in it, or replace this plot with something else. Now rewrite it. Like you as a staff writer, it's not about, in some cases, the credits that you get to do. It's about making everything else better, and to do what the showrunner, story editor wants. So that was my second film school. So I did the film school, and then basically my first job, I was like, oh shit, I know nothing. And then I did another film school by being there. So that was really cool. And that kind of set the path. And then it's like a little pachinko machine, you get lucky or whatever. I'd done Static Shock. Alan Burnett was there again for John Semper. He went to, so I got to do a couple of episodes, like 1.5 there. And then, so that's how I knew Alan Burnett. Alan Burnett was the guy who was the supervising writer when Jim did Flashpoint. And at a certain point, I did some Justice League action stories. He's like, oh, I forgot how good you were. I'm like, I knew him 12 years ago. It's like, I forgot how good you were. I should have been using you all this time. I'm like, that would have been nice.
Can you retroactively pay me that?
Yeah. So he's the one that got me on Justice League Dark. And from that time, that's kind of like put me on the map, because those are, they're kind of a big deal in the Comic Cons. They have a premiere.
People love them. They love them. They love the DC animated stuff. And like, I don't think Marvel has an equivalent. I mean, I know they've had some successful cartoons and series and stuff like that, and some of that stuff's great. Obviously, an X-Men animated has so much of the love. But
yeah.
And I love the 97. I love all that stuff. But the consistency and just the love that people have for those DC animated films. There's so much respect for them, and people are like, they should just put this in live action. And so many kids and people were just like, this should be the live action. They should just take the animated movies, make them the live action films, and they would have nothing but success. And ultimately, like, James Gunn is a DC fan. You know, he is more of a DC fan than a Marvel fan, and I think he's going to do right by these characters because he loves them. He is
he's a fan.
We've had Sean on the show. We've interviewed James several times.
He's like the first fan that has actually run, in a position of green light power. I mean,
Feige was a fan. When Feige was an assistant on that first X-Men movie, he was obviously, you hear the stories of him telling them to do Wolverine's hair a certain way on that first Bryan Singer X-Men. And but he, James is a filmmaker, and James is a big nerd, and he's lensing the things, right?
The Marvels, obviously, their live action are par excellence, right? Feige's a huge fan. All of those people are. It's just on that side, I guess there's been a couple of people that were more like, I've never read it. When they hire a director who proudly says, I've never read a comic book in my life, I go, this might be a disaster. And sometimes the box office warranted it. I might have enjoyed the movie, but it didn't come together in the wash entirely to where they could pick up a ball of steam like Marvel had planned out.
I mean, obviously Favreau is a fan of that stuff.
Oh yeah,
total nerd. And when you saw, going back to 2000, and you see X-Men open, and you have that Auschwitz scene, and you're like, oh, Singer's going to get this. This is it. I got the Auschwitz scene at the beginning of an X-Men movie.
Yeah.
He's going to nail this. Wow. He's going to nail this. He knows what this stuff is. Raimi obviously is a giant nerd of all that stuff. He's great. And we'll see. Do you necessarily, could a good filmmaker from outside of nerddom come in and just make a really good film? I mean, I think Ang Lee tried that with the pathos he tried to inject into the Incredible Hulk. Was it right? I mean, that same summer, Steve Norrington did the kind of more heady book, the Alan Moore book. He put Sean Connery, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And there's a part of me that says, man, it would have been cool if Norrington and Ang Lee would have just swapped places. If Ang Lee had taken a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen that's a little bit heady and fun on the page and gone with that, and Norrington had just done smash bang comic book pop Blade style, Hulk movie, that would have rocked. But at the end of the day, that Hulk movie may not have made a ton with the Ang Lee stuff, but it sold the Hulk hands like crazy. And people forget that Hulk is not not necessarily the Wolverine, but Hulk is the one that sells in the third world countries. The Hulk hands and the toys and the smash stuff. It's Spider-Man and the Hulk. Marvel is Spider-Man and the Hulk. And because the TV and this and the Lou Ferrigno and all this stuff, like, those are their heavy hitters. And I know people love the X-Men. They love Cap. They love Iron Man. And those guys have caught up in a big way. But nothing sells like the Hulk hands sold. And that was a movie that didn't even necessarily work at the box office or work on screen, that Ang Lee Hulk. But it sold the Hulk hands, and that stuff is important. You're doing these DC animated movies. And then where does this Area 51 Studios work? Like, when did you write the novella for it? Because it was a novella first, or it was a black and white comic? Tell me about like where this idea came from. And Geekscape is, while we're talking about this, you can go and check out area51comic.com. It'll take you to the Kickstarter. Guys, help our boy Ernie out. I think it's fun. There's some pages up there for you guys to read. Throw him some of your coin. Get this thing going. Follow Ernie on Instagram too. He wants followers. I'm going to make fun of you for that, but keep going.
No, Facebook and X. My Instagram game is terrible. I'm like, I was.
You got to show some leg. You got to show some leg. You got to do the thirst picks.
Yeah, thirst picks. Okay.
You got to, Ernie. You got to do the thirst picks.
Wow,
8.5 would have done it. Your boy 8.5
8 and a half.
It's probably 6.5 now.
I remember 8.5 being in my backyard for 4th of July, and he was
You
wearing
better not be playing with fireworks, man. That guy's lost enough fingers.
European banana hammock. Of course he was. He brought the biggest fucking fireworks. And
Get the hell out of here.
Like, yeah, I mean, the rockets I'd never seen before. My mom was like, should we be shooting those? And he was like, yeah, these are fine. I got them approved before.
He's wearing by who? Who's going to approve that? By your dad?
I had never seen these. Usually you got bottle rockets,
Sure.
ounces or 2 ounces, even a 3 ouncer.
Yeah, every now and then you'd have that. What's the quarter stick of dynamite? What's the quarter stick of dynamite? The M80s?
This thing was like a pipe with that classic, like it looked like something that the Wile E. Coyote, a rocket.
It's like an Acme rocket.
Yeah, it looked like it had that same hood on it. It was red. It had a big, and I'm like, man,
it's gonna blow up the house.
If that thing just takes a lefty, just like it's gonna go through somebody's. It's gonna go through somebody's window. It must.
And he's wearing what? He's wearing a banana hammock.
Yeah, banana hammock, sweating, big belly,
missing half his hand.
European, yeah. I mean, left one finger on one hand and a half on the other hand. So there was distributed even.
Did you ever shoot those Estes rockets? Remember the Estes rockets, and they had the little pipe on one side, and you'd thread Geekscape is where Estes rockets. They probably still have Estes rockets. Get it. Estes rockets. You get them at the hobby store.
Yeah.
And you put the balsa wood wings on it, and you'd thread, and then the launch thing that you would light the little M80 fuse thing on. The launch thing was this metal rod, and then on the Estes rocket you'd have it looks like a little straw, and you'd glue it to the side of your rocket, and then you'd thread the straw down this pipe and point it straight up to the little rod would stick up in the sky, and so when you lit the thing, the straw would shoot up the line, and it would shoot up in the sky. But I remember building this launch pad with the line sticking up, the wire. It had a washer that you could rotate the thing, and the washer, I remember just repeat launches, this washer was loose, and one time we lit this rocket, and as we're threading it, the thing is lit, and the wind knocks the thing over. And now the rocket with the fuse lit is pointed at the chain link fence in our backyard and the neighbor's house beyond. And we were like, oh no, because it's now parallel to the ground for the most part. I think the wing tips are keeping it from being flat on the ground. And as we run to the thing lights, and it shoots across our grass yard. It rips the wings off as it shoots through the chain link fence and explodes on the side of our neighbor's house.
Oh, nice.
We had one of those plastic pools. It was like a bunch of clowns at the circus trying to do a parachute act of catching somebody on a trapeze. We were trying to get the pool over to the fence. They were trying to get over the fence. We're trying to launch water out of it. We're just a bunch of morons trying to keep our neighbors. I forgot about that story until you just talked about this banana hammock Russian or Czechoslovakian, whatever he is.
We had something like that too, where it was just but it was just with a 2 or 3 ounce rocket, and it just didn't have enough stuff packed in it, so it went, and then it just goes, and it landed right on our neighbor's tar tiled roof. You remember those in Long Island? It's just like I
didn't grow up in Long Island, but they had those, yeah.
Yeah, it had that white stuff on top, right?
Yeah, the speckled white stuff, yeah.
Yeah, right. And it just explodes, but it was very napalm-like, and it set the thing on fire, right? There was a little burning area. So my dad's like, oh shit. And he grabbed that green garden hose, kind of
yeah.
You put it out, and then he's like, Nobody say. We don't know how that got there. to Ron the neighbor, right? We don't know how that got there. You know, we just like sworn to silence.
Well, there was a black mark on the neighbor's house, the brick wall on the side of the neighbor's house for a
I'll
long,
bet.
long
That's a big
time.
one.
And you always, I mean, no offense. I mean, are you really a Boy Scout if you don't augment the rocket with a couple additional fireworks?
I
If you
mean,
don't really see what this thing's about, let's just really see what this thing's about. So this novella, what was this? What was this little thing that you wrote that you expand now with the Area 51 Studios?
Well, at first I wrote it as a script, as like this kind of super low budget script, because I would say that the aliens had this technology that they would have like invisible cameras. So all you would need to say is like, no, the camera's right here, knock, knock, and put in that something that sounded like a garbage can, you know, boring, boring.
And this is like a Men in Black style comedy type of thing, or
yeah,
what?
but with no special effects, right? But it was kind of Hollywood. Like you look like Earthlings, but really these are bodysuits.
Like,
you know,
remember Earth Girls Are Easy when they get shaven? The movie Earth Girls Are Easy.
Before what's his name, who was in Men in Black 2, right? An Egger suit.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
that's what I was.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Kind of going to go for it, right? But it was so weird at that point. It was the time of what do you call it? Sex, lies, and videotape, and like.
Oh wow, this is the 91, 92.
Yeah, this is like, it was really artsy fartsy, and my agents were like, "We're not even bringing that out," right? So I couldn't get it out of my head, so I wrote it as a novella. Half-assedly tried, and then I found out that nobody published novellas anymore. Right? It's like this is the John.
You don't see them. Where they go? Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
You can put them on Amazon now. I guess you can put them on Amazon Digital.
Now, if someone tells me that they're hotter, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll see.
This is 30 plus years later.
So then I went to that comic creator panel, and I met Josh White, who's the artist, and I showed him just like a couple scenes from it. Like, here you go, read this. I mean, after we kind of exchanged cards, right? So I go, I'm thinking about this thing. What do you think? And he's like, oh man, I love it. I love it. He's a big Men in Black guy. I think it's more Douglas Adams.
Yeah.
It's Douglas Adams. And then yes, the Men in Black, except we're dealing with Men in Black in Hollywood, alien Hollywood, right? But it also has as many kind of little Monty Python-esque bits of weirdness like that suddenly happen because you're dealing with aliens and anything can happen. Right? Sure. So and out of that I hope to get a lot of laughs, and there's some, you know, there's a little violence, but you know, mostly it's humorous, and the good part is, I mean, when we get, you know, if I can build this out, I would love to grab all of my friends' stories on, you know, what's the worst pitch you had? What crazy thing have you happened? What at a party or something that we can kind of like change and just basically use it? Little private jokes, right? Like you would know. And we have a draw you in feature, so it could be your face in that.
Oh yeah, Geekscape is on this thing. And again, I invite you guys to go to Studio. See the visit area. I'm sorry. I invite you all to visit the Area 51 Studios Kickstarter. Go to area51comic.com. And as
Kickstarter, if you put Area 51, you don't even have to put Studios. It comes up first, so you can check it out. There you go.
Yeah, I'm throwing it up on the screen. Geekscapists, if you're listening to this, again, it's Area 51 Studio. It's area51comic.com.
Got another backer since we've been talking.
Yeah, listen, I don't want to you're halfway to your goal, dude. You've been up one day. You're raising $3,500. You're raising $3,500.
Yeah.
I want to see the stretch goal so you can see you do more issues, but you're at 1,500. You're at 1,500. You got $2,000 to go to get to your goal. You got 30 days, man. I think you're good. Not to say the Geekscapists shouldn't check this out, but I have the high hopes.
Hey, I want people in, and look, even I think we have digital copies of the novella and the comic are only $5 a piece, but by issue 3 and 4, we're gonna have a lot of weird stuff that we hope. If you go and give me a look at that cover again.
Okay, I'm coming. It's coming. Let's see. There's the cover right there.
Okay. Oh, sorry. No, there. If you can make that bigger, well, actually, so what we have here is this is a reality show starring aliens that is going to that alien home planet about dumb humans, right? So there, if you got to think about it, it's like their production designer, and Josh did this. I was like, I think the guy's smoking. We see that it's like a head, right?
He's taking a break. Yeah.
His lines and the great thing about these digital, how he does it on the Cintiq is there's a lot more pixels in there. You can see like little details. Like on the script, there's only highlighted are his lines, and it's like my line, crap, my line, like just in real life. But so he's like, well, I think he's wearing a shirt. So if you would make that shirt bigger, you would see that what their production design thought. It's like, well, it's advertising, so it's called Mouth Drink, right? And its tagline is "It tastes."
That's funny. That's
so
funny.
We plan on making hopefully, if we can get to issue 4, we're going to make the Mouth Drink T-shirt available. Right? We're already designing the Mouth Drink T-shirt. So
I'll tell you what, Ernie. I just ordered a ton of T-shirts today for the Kickstarters, and Geekscape is who did the T-shirt tier of the Hear the Prophecy Kickstarter. I'm sorry, not my freaking fault. I have a partner who said we can get a better deal. We can get a better deal. We can get a better deal. And I said, George, I'm not in this for the margins. I just want my audience to have, and our backers to have the comics in their hands. I don't care. Let's just order the freaking shirts. And I hate to throw you under the bus, George, but it cost us a month of waiting to get a better version of the shirts at a more of a margin. And guess what? We went with the guy I proposed a month ago in the end. Today, we placed the order for the shirts that would fulfill the Kickstarter goals. Today, the Kickstarter ended a month plus ago, and I wanted to have the shirts way sooner, but you had to see how many people order the shirts tier, how many people wanted the shirts, and then you wanted to order that. Plus, I ordered some extras for Comic-Con for San Diego, but I hate to throw George under the bus, but Geeks gave us, who ordered the T-shirt tier, the order just went in today. You'll have them.
You really are throwing them under the bus, but you know what?
Yeah, but I'm pissed, man, because I'm like, dude, here's how much they cost, and he's like, oh, I know a guy who knows a guy. You can get them cheaper. No, dude, come on, man. Let's just get them and get them out in the mail. Let's move on to the next, because issue 2 is half drawn. Like, let's just go. Let's keep moving.
Right.
Oh, no, we can get it out. I was like, dude, what are you gonna save? $1 or $2 like a shirt? Come on, man. Let's just get them out. Let's get them out.
Look, people do not make indie comics for the money.
Exactly.
If I would get out, if Josh and I would get out of here with basically it not having to pay anything and anything more, and we'd be working for free for basically 3 years on the side, that would be fine. We'd come out with a piece of IP, a thing that, since I have worked on, a bunch of cartoons, I might know some people I could give it to, or, it's getting easier and easier to make your own cartoon. So, I mean, maybe we get someone in on that to do it. But I think there's a lot of like different things, stickers or magnets or okay. Another good thing, I guess, with having the novella is that if people are like, oh, I'm going to have to wait for this story, it's like, well, you don't actually. Right?
Yeah, just read the novella.
The great thing is they're going to be different enough.
Oh, no, you're improving them. After 30 years, yeah, you're punching it up.
Right. But the end, the major beats are the same as the novella, but I think my writing and my dialogue is better in the comic. There's just less of it. You get as much time as you want there, but you can order that and you can have that, see how we're doing. Watch for the previews. but and then I also had a little bit of I did a middle grade book series for Penguin and Razorbill at one point called Shark Wars, right? So I met some people in the book industry, and I'm working with a person on the novella. Kind of, could there be a fancy version of the novella where we kind of interleave the graphic novel and the novella in the end? Like
Sure.
so, and then that would go not only after Kickstarter, it might go, can we get it into a Target or a Barnes and Noble or something like that? I don't know. These are big dreams. It's a big experiment, but it's really fun. Doing a Kickstarter when
It's fun.
You
Dude, I have a blast.
Like, what if we do that mouth drink T-shirt, that mouth drink shirt? I was like, what is that? Is that a little tongue in the O? He's like, right. And then what's the tagline? It tastes. So like, we need we're gonna put an advertisement for mouth drink in book 2, like in the middle of it, and then by book 3, where my guy's getting a little bit famous, in the comic is going to be like, I'm a little thirsty, and they're going to do an ad like in the comic, and it's going to be
Don't spoil that. Yeah,
an ad in the comic for mouth drink.
It's like when Happy Gilmore eats the Subway sandwich. Exactly. I got you. Exactly. Well, listen, Geekscape, you have your mission. You're going to go to area51comic.com. You're going to check these things out. Throw Ernie some cash. Get the first issue of this comic. Get it kickstarted. I know you guys did right by me on the Hear the Prophecy. You guys really rolled out for me. That was beautiful, and thank you. And like I said, issue number 2 is drawn, about halfway drawn right now. So we're coming to you again with issue number 2, and that'll be in the next few months. And I love issue number 2. But right now, while you wait, go over to Ernie's Kickstarter. Area51comic.com. You're going to donate to Area 51 Studios. That's the comic, and you're going to get it. And hopefully, we put an ad for his comic in one of ours, and ours in one of his, and we just keep this thing moving.
I got to get in. I got to get in issue 2 and do a catch-up version.
Sure.
So I'll be reading that stuff too. So that'll be fun.
Well, Ernie, we'll be seeing you in San Diego as well, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. We'll come by the booth, man. Come by the booth and say hi. We're in indie publishing, and I promise nobody with a Speedo is going to come by and shoot a rocket at you. I could be lying. I could be lying.
Between you and Sheridan, you could be shooting rockets at each other across the way, or whether you're side by side. It'll be dangerous for everybody else.
I love Sheridan. Tim Sheridan's never been on the show. He should be on the show. Tim, you should be on the show. I know. I'm a bad friend.
He might secretly hate you. That's why he's not on it. I don't know.
Not much of a secret with most of these people.
No, come on.
Not much of a secret.
It's gonna be good. He should definitely be on it. But I'm pleased that I've been introduced to the Geekscapers. This is really, like, I've been psyched. I've been psyched to do this. I should have done it a long time ago.
Hey, I just met you on Saturday. When would that have been? Sunday?
No. I mean, I should have done comics a long time ago.
I know.
It's such a blast.
It's a blast.
Yes, there's
when you get the pages in, it's so. I got to send my brother like another page today. Like whenever I send my brother a new page, I'm like, dude, because the book's a love letter to him, and it's like, dude, you're fighting a Cyclops and this and that, and he's like, this is awesome, man. This is great. I feel like it keeps him buoyed, a little bit like emotionally afloat during the rigors of pro wrestling, which is what he's still doing, and he's wrestling and he's out there, but he's the only wrestler with a comic book at his booth. I know WWE and other bigger wrestling places have their own comics, but this is the one that is his comic, and so I love it, and I know he loves it, and he loves it. Now I gotta mail all these signed copies to you guys. All right. Excellent. Ernie, I love you, man. I'm gonna see you soon. If you need anything, please hit me up, dude. All right. We're gonna be watching this thing. We're gonna be sharing this thing. All right.
Absolutely. I mean, tell me when it's out. Tag me.
We'll do it.
Yeah, that would be great. You know, it's like I've got the butter churn thing. If it's not easy, if I can't just like put it on there, it's just it's gone, and now it's gone.
Geekscape is, you know what to do with us. You just it really helps us out when you leave a 5-star review on any podcatcher that you're listening to this to on, whether it's Spotify or Apple. That really helps us. It gives us a little bit of float. We get some visibility. We maybe get a few more listeners. Somebody leave us a 5-star review. Leave it, like, write something nice, and maybe somebody will see it and be like, "Hey, I should do this Geekscape show." It's funny because we were talking about Sam Raimi. I remember meeting Ted Raimi and saying, "Hey, I did this thing called Geekscape." Yeah, I heard of Geekscape. I heard of the Geekscape. And the way that they hear about it, especially back then, was because of the podcast, because of you guys leaving reviews and sharing it with each other. So keep it up. Share this with your friends. We got a nice 2 months before San Diego Comic-Con, but we're going to be there in full force. The whole Geekscape team is going to be there. I know, because we're getting them badges and hotel rooms. But it's going to be fun, and we're going to party at the booth. We hope to see you guys over here in San Diego. And if not, keep subscribing to this very show, the one that's filling your ears right now, because we're going to be recording interviews and fun stuff at San Diego, and this is how we bring you with us, okay? That's the point. We want you to share in this, and we want you to meet people like Ernie and be a part of their creator journey, okay? So invest in them, okay? Area51comic.com. I'll see you guys. I'm headed to Greenville, South Carolina. Don't know if I'm going to record before then. I got people who want to do the show, but they may have to wait until after the 18th. So just keep subscribing. You're going to see something pop up in the feed. If not next week, definitely the week after. Okay. I love you guys too long and too much. And I love you guys too much to be without you guys for too long. That's what I meant to say. All right. Till next time. Thank you, Ernie.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye, guys.